It's a revolution, style revolution, cultural revolution.
When we come out here, we have a fight.
Evolution does not occur in one stage. It's an evolutionary process. Like people go through different things.
The real content of any kind of revolutionary thrust lies in the principles and the goals that you're striving for.
That you are here. And to be here means that you can't be here else.
We have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people into the importance of knowing.
It's a revolution, style revolution, cultural revolution.
Yo, what up?
Yo, what's up?
You tuned into the Peaceful Rage podcast
Featuring Matt Murphy and Dr. Wes Bellamy. Two brothers,
working in our community,
active, caring for our families.
still trying to give back,
We see what's going on with the big picture.
and we pissed off about it.
Peaceful Rage Podcast.
Peaceful Rage podcast. Bro, it's been a weekend, dog.
Man, it's been a long couple weeks, man.
It's been a long couple of weeks for sure. What's
Yeah.
up with you though, dog?
Man, well, you know, it's recording time, and we on the tail end of the first, I hate to even use the term anniversary. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Of the August 12th weekend, but I guess it's been a year since everything happened here in Charlottesville, and yeah, it's just it's been a tiring time.
Yeah, it's been hectic, man, and,
Yeah.
and rest in power. Not only the Heather Heyer, but also the two officers that lost their lives, but also everybody in the movement who's been suffering trauma, whether that be psychologically, whether that be physically, emotionally. I mean, last year was some crazy shit, and there's been a lot of people who have suffered in a lot of different ways. One of the dopest things I think I saw today, man, it's been several different events, but I was at an NAACP event, and Susan Bro, Heather Heyer's mom, spoke, and she was like, yo, and she said this before, but she was just like, man, I hate the fact that it took a white girl dying to get everybody's attention. And she was like, my daughter, I hate the fact that she lost her life, but let's get to the real work, showing that people's lives matter. And I was like, damn, that shit is like profound.
Right.
It's on my IG story. And I appreciate her for using her platform to obviously amplify her daughter's life and make sure that, we're fighting for justice, but talk about the reason why she died. These white supremacists came in here and they tried to take over our city, our community, and it ain't work. We stronger a year later. So yeah, a year out, we here.
Right.
You been out this weekend, or you been chilling, or like what's been your approach?
No, I didn't get out and about town too much this weekend, man. I had some personal family stuff going on, taking care of that. But yeah, I will say this, that I'm thankful that it was nothing like it was last year. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, because I don't know all the details, I don't know all the stories. I know a lot of people were out there and saw a lot of different things. A lot of things probably haven't even been reported on.
Yeah.
But the tragedy that we witnessed last year, man, we didn't see anything near that.
Man, nobody died.
We didn't see that kind of terrorism in our community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In that capacity.
Motherfuckers, nobody's out here with AK-47s and AR-15s and all this other wild shit.
Right.
Shields
See,
and
this is the
everything else.
crazy shit about a lot of this, man. And I think you and I, we gonna start on the same framework and recognizing that these people that carry these white supremacist mentalities that are part of these organizations, man, they are terrorist groups, but are not spoken of or treated as such.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think we're more in danger from these white supremacists and their organizations than we are from the MS-13 or ISIS or any other boogeyman that they try to set up and distract us with. You know what I mean?
The boogeyman. Yeah, I would agree with that, man. You and I for sure. That's a much more relevant and real threat to us than anything that's going on domestic, or foreign for that matter.
Right.
This white supremacy shit is real. And then I want to send some power to everybody out there in DC who went out and defended their city by showing up at Lafayette Park today. And this dude Kessler, he had like 20 people with him. And he even came out, like one of the first thing he said was like, yo, I admit my white civil rights rally was a flop. And they were like 20 people with him. and it was like 3,000 counter protesters or 5,000 counter protesters or something like that.
Maybe it's time for him just to go all the way away. But go ahead,
bro. That would be great.
Right.
My weekend though was interesting to say the least, man. Friday night, bless you.
Thank you.
Friday, I had a chance to go up to DC. It's just been like this weekend has just been. It's just been bugged up.
We've been talking for an hour before we started recording, man. It's felt like we all over the place, man. Just with there's so much going on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, trying to process it. It's a lot.
I don't even know how to process. And just for those who don't know, like we're literally it's still August 12th. Like it's damn 9:30 or something like that, or 10:17.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gucci. It's 10:17 right now, and like I don't know how to explain what I've seen this weekend. It's just been like surreal to a certain extent. Friday I was in DC. Friday I was in Charlottesville in the morning on the ground, walking around. And then I had an event in DC to speak at this church with a couple. Shout out to Congresswoman Thornton. I mean, 2 Congress people invited me to this panel. And to see maybe 500-600 people come to this event at the synagogue in DC and talking about Charlottesville from afar. And like, I've known we were on a national map, but we really like some kind of hashtag that people think we're synonymous with white supremacy and hate. And the shit is bugged out. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, we not just some kind of like fad or some kind of just thing that people can use as a hashtag or like use us for TV ratings. Like this
blurbing
is
the news
shit.
cycle.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
We not a news cycle, bro. Like this shit really happened here. Like this is real. But also, man, I was really, I don't know if I still should be surprised, and forgive me, y'all, I'm rambling because I'm still trying to process everything. It was just a lot of white people who are coming to grips with like the America that they knew or that they thought they knew is not the America of what it is. And there's still a lot of white people who are grasping the concept of white supremacy and the many forms that it takes, and also how do they do something about it.
Right.
So being in that synagogue and sitting on a panel with people from Anti-Defamation League and people who've been undercover in some of these white supremacist groups and just talking about some of the things in which they've seen, it was fascinating. But then also to hear Reverend Barber from North Carolina, the esteemed Reverend, for anybody go Google Reverend Barber, and hear him give a talk about how like this is America. This is who we are. And we oftentimes think that we are better than who we are. Just like Charlottesville of years before, we thought that we were something that we weren't. We thought we were this Gentile place that was, you know, the greatest city or happiest city or all these things that we were ranked for.
Happiest, healthiest,
yeah,
et cetera.
Right, we were always number one on all those lists, but nah, we still had a lot of issues. But I think that we may have been, one of the best things about it is that we may have been ground zero for the awakening. I think I was talking about this on NPR, but I feel like our community, our city has shown that, yo, you can be the happiest city, have great restaurants, have a great university in it, and still be a hotbed for white racist ideology. This is the land of Thomas Jefferson. We built on this shit. But
this place is built on that.
No doubt.
If we don't want to say just our country, but right up the street.
Right up the
right
literally.
Up the hill.
Right up the hill, like literally up the street. But how do we deal with it? And we've ripped the wound, the scab off.
Let me ask you this. Do you think in the year, I'm sure I could ask, 10 different people this question and get 10 different answers, but do you think there's really been much progress made in the way of race relations, right? Specifically between white and black people? Do you see that there's been areas of improvement? I know that's a pretty open-ended question.
I think there has been.
That last year prompted, and you've seen kind of growth in
yeah, like, okay. I think that's the best thing that's happened out of everything that's transpired. Like, a lot of white people have had to force themselves to understand what a lot of us have been talking about for decades, generations. And they seen that terror up close and personal just like we have had to. They got a glimpse of what our lives, like our everyday lives are like. They've gotten a glimpse of it. And I think it's helped people understand where we're coming from. Because like just locally, I remember we were talking about the statues or whatever, or like even like the need to move them, or just the topic of race, and people would always not want to talk about it. Like Charlottesville is a place where we have a lot of covert racism, not the overt kind where it's up in your face, but you've talked about this before, the kind that's polite, the kind that's like, oh well, this is just art, oh well, this is just the way things are, oh well, you're just poor, I'm sorry things are going that way for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we forced people to say, nah, this shit ain't normal. Like, we have a lot of issues here, and we can't skirt around them anymore. We can't run or talk circles around them, or like try to hide or distance ourselves from it. We've had to look ourselves in the mirror and realize we need surgery. Like, we took that Band-Aid off and we realized that ain't just no cut with a scab. Nah, this is a whole wound.
Got infection.
It's heavily infected. We got to do surgery work to heal this joint.
Right.
But just like any ligament that needs surgery, you don't heal overnight. You ain't gonna heal. We're not gonna heal in a year. But I'm proud of the fact that we're actually doing the work. And I'm proud of the fact that you can't go anywhere without having these conversations. I mean, in our schools, barbershops, laundromat, restaurants, the topic of race, the topic of equity, the topic of feeling and understanding why a group of people have felt marginalized for so long is here. We're dealing with that shit. And we have become accustomed to making certain people uncomfortable while we've learned to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
I got you.
There's a lot of layers in that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the first steps. You got to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable to understand that this is not right. Some will call it white guilt. Some will call it, all this other stuff. But we have to acknowledge that things aren't okay. And for me to hear the president of UVA, shout out to President Ryan, you know what I'm saying, yesterday come out and say, I apologize to all the students. We failed you last year. Like, that's huge.
Right.
I don't think stuff like that would have happened 2-3 years ago.
I just think about, like, acknowledging mistakes, acknowledging missteps. You know what I mean? Like, as we grow, as we mature, whether we're as individuals and adults or organizations, right? We're going to grow. We're going to make decisions. Sometimes the decisions are going to turn out the way we want them to. Sometimes they won't. What do we do from that? How do we learn from those things, right? So we look at what happened last year. And I think a lot of people in different, organizations and with different motivations all learned something.
Right.
And hope and obviously hoping that's for the better. Excuse me.
Right.
So,
right.
But it kind of leads me to the next point of, because of what happened and we were left jarred, shocked, hurt, traumatized, angered, fill in the blank. I don't want to take your adjective, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's a place to express and vent those emotions, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a place where constructive activity needs to take place. And that rarely happens when we're just driven by and fueled by hurt, anger, rage. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Perfect sense. There has to be some kind of action that follows up with all of the just talk, or just the feelings that one has. However, I think that we have to be cognizant that people process things at different speeds.
Right.
People emote in different ways, and people need the space to be able to grieve. So, like, for me, being on city council has been one of the most I don't know if the word I'm looking for isn't gratifying, although I am grateful to be on council, but it's been eye-opening to help me grow. So I think it's like one of the things that's helped me be able to develop and mature, because I've been able to sit on a dais and listen to people, even while it looks like the council meetings are crazy, but just come and listen to people vent. And it's helped me realize, like, this shit is mad traumatic.
Absolutely.
So I'm not gonna front. Like, when it first happened last year, I was really on some like, and I'm still on some like, we ain't gonna let these dudes win. We all right. Like, let's get up. Let's shake ourselves off. We good. Let's go write some policy. Let's get in the neighborhoods. Let's have these conversations. Let's divert some resources. Like, we're gonna be all right. Let's go. And I've had to, I mean, really just sitting and listening to people, I've had to learn and listen and understand that, yo, everybody don't move on that fast.
That's true.
And some people, like, just what they saw on August 12th or 11th and 12th for that matter was so traumatizing mentally, physically, emotionally that it's going to be some time before they just can move on.
Right.
So we need to be cognizant of that.
I agree. And so that leads me to another point, and you could probably speak a little bit about this. The need for us to mentor and to encourage the younger generation, because, right, when someone's at war and soldiers go out on the field and they get injured, right, you get them back to help them, to get them healed up as fast as you can, right? You don't intentionally send injured warriors out onto the field,
right?
And as you know, we age, we get older. You know what I'm saying? The fight differs a little bit. The generation behind us, and if we're not pouring into and allowing younger people to even have their voices heard as we kind of help them navigate, you know what I'm saying, like this whole movement, we're gonna miss out on opportunities too, because there will be people that are hurt and not in a place to strategize, to produce policy, to do those kinds of things, because we all have a role.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you
and not talked about this before, whether that's on the street, in an office somewhere, in a room when you're the only black person in the room with 25 white people, and you got to be the one to say what you say. If you were operating like you were in the street, in that room, you wouldn't get shit done. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's a need to finesse in certain circumstances, all those things. And so I'm just saying, like, I feel like I'm rambling now, but just thinking through, like, you know what I mean, like, what happened last year? How did we learn? What did we learn? And one of my takeaways, like, just thinking through it right now as we've been talking, is the need to see a generation behind us. You know what I mean? Be able to have their voices heard and take that mantle as well.
Yeah. And then helping them develop their voices in different ways. And also us being open to understanding that, like, our way isn't the only way. So I'll be transparent, like, before we came on the air, me, Murph, and the Ear, shout out to the Ear. Follow him on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff at Damani4Prez, number 4. I gave you a shout out, D. That's definitely love right there. That's 50 followers.
Just did.
I had to make it light, yo, because it's getting heavy. So we were talking about how, like, it's been a hectic weekend. I feel like most of my weekend has been me trying to de-escalate situations, whether it be between the police and protesters or between protesters and the police, like just trying to keep people calm or whatever. And I was saying that I'm like, yo, part of me, I was like, yo, I don't get, like, why is motherfuckers just wilding out? Like, yo, just chill, right? And I didn't say this to y'all. I know I was saying this, we were talking, but I didn't say this to y'all. Yo, my wife hit me Friday or Saturday. I can't remember which day. And no, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. Can I tell a quick story?
Please do.
My wife put me on game. Shout out to my wife, Ashley. I love her to death. And she says, so, yo, we were scheduled to go to a movie last night, Saturday night. We were going to see Black Klansman, right? So we had been out in the streets, in the neighborhoods, at events all day Saturday. So I was like, yo, before we go out, see the movie, let's stop by this UVA Protest real quick. It's at 7. We'll go real quick, then we'll go to the movie. We get to the protest on the grounds. The students have moved the protest from one part of the university to another part, so they didn't want to be confined, which I respect, I understand. They're giving their speeches, you know what I'm saying? And then out of nowhere, bro, it's like 100 cops, I exaggerate you not, show up, and they're like marching like they're in the military with riot gear.
What?
Yeah, bro, that's literally my first thought. I'm like, yo, what? Like, what the hell is this?
Right.
So I'm listening to the, you know what I'm saying, and literally the students, they doing their chants. Cops and Klan go hand in hand, and fuck the police. Yeah, so for me, I'm realizing, like, yo, you going a little hard, but I get it, I respect it. But, they not doing anything. They not wilding out, like, they not.
Yeah.
They just talking, you know what I'm saying? They not doing anything.
Being verbal.
Yeah, they being verbal. But the whole mood changes when those cops showed up and lined up in formation, and they just wilding. And even me, like my intensity level changed. Like,
Right.
yo, what the hell is going on?
You in survival mode at that point.
Yeah, at this
you
point,
don't
I'm
know
like, yo, what's
gonna happen.
up? And I see everybody rushing over there. So it's like about to go down. There's about to be a confrontation. So now people in each other's faces. So I'm like, yo, let me get to the front so I could try to talk to who's in command. I get to the front, and I'm like, yo, can I speak to the commanding officer? I wound up speaking to a couple lieutenants. And I'm like, hey, like, listen. They like, hey, Mr. Bellamy, whatever. And I know this may be my privilege. I'm like, listen, y'all, like, for real, I hope y'all can, like, someone explain to me what's going on, because I'm here and even I'm feeling a way about all of these officers showing up in riot gear. And an officer explains to me, well, we just here as a precaution. We don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want to do anything. We just here as a precaution. So I say, yo, you show up in a precaution in your riot gear? And he's like, I understand where you coming from, but Mr. Bellamy, we just here to make sure everybody maintains safety. We want to protect the property, protect the people, so forth. So I say, yo, listen, let's figure out how we can find a compromise here. The students, not even just students, these are community members, everybody, they're there and they're like, why are you here in riot gear, right? And I'm asking the same thing. What may help us de-escalate the situation is if y'all will put the shields down, like let's chill out a little bit.
Right.
So he was like, yeah, well, you know, Mr. Bellamy, I could use your help in terms of keeping people peaceful. Like, but yeah, I see where you coming from. Cause I asked him, like, you gotta understand where people coming from. Like, when we just see you in riot gear, we think something about to go down, that amps everybody up. So he was like, I understand. They wind up doing it. The whole thing gets de-escalated, whatever, right? And I was walking back to the car with my wife, and I'm like, yo, that was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? The cops had the riot gear, and then I said something off him, like, yo, but damn, like, I don't get why everybody was just running up on them yelling. Like, what? Like, they ain't gonna help it. Like, that's just gonna make them wild out more. So she says to me, yo, Wes, you remember when you were 20? When you were 19, you were 20, you were 21? She's like, I remember you at that age. What would you have been doing if you was there and you were 19, 20, 21? And I had like it should just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you know what? She right. At 20, 21, I probably would have been yelling at the cops, fuck the police, all
Right.
this shit, the same thing.
Right.
So there has to be a certain level of patience and tolerance that we have with these young folk who are so anxious to use their energy to get out their message, get out their voice, express how they feel, which I respect and I love. Is no different from NWA talking about what they were seeing in their neighborhood, saying, yo, fuck the police. I respect it. Right. So then how do we help them cultivate that voice, right? How do we help them? And I'm not even gonna say what they're doing isn't effective, but is there a way in which we can support them in a different way? Like because I don't know if like me right now as a 31-year-old councilman, if it's for me right now to be saying fuck the police, that ain't really my position right now. I need to be trying to de-escalate situations.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to ask you. So, like, what do you do with the person who says, "Oh, you a sucker now because you was over there politicking and talking to the police"?
Yeah,
like you not radical enough. You should be cussing them out. You should be like, "Man, fuck y'all," but you over here in the meanwhile having conversations with 3 or 4 of them at a time. Like,
yeah, I had that today. And I know we were talking about we were talking about this off the air. You know what I'm saying? We had another situation where it was a lot of police, state police. They were in the riot gear on 4th Street for a variety of different reasons. You know, I had to play mediator, and cooler heads wound up prevailing, and there was a scuffle of sorts. And I wound up talking to some people, and they're like, yo, you said that they weren't going, like, we just got attacked. Like, yo, you said they weren't going to do this. Like, what's going on? And me, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Like, I don't even know because I'm, you know what I'm saying, trying to figure it out just like everyone else. And they're like, man, you a politician, man. You ain't with us. Like, you know what I'm saying? You like, and I had to catch myself because I wound up getting into it. Dude, like, yo, dog, you don't, like, who you talking to? Like, one, you're not going to be talking to me like that.
Right.
Like, one, I'm on your side. Like, I'm trying to help you, one, diffuse the situation. But secondly, I don't agree with it being all of these cops out here. I don't agree with the aggressive nature. But I do understand, like, yo, they're here for public safety. So I understand both sides. Chill. But you coming at me, bro, and I'm trying to figure out how I can help you.
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, what would 20-year-old West think of
31-year-old West?
Right.
I think 20-year-old West would think 31-year-old West is on the fence.
Okay.
I think 20-year-old Wes would think 31-year-old Wes plays both sides. I think 20-year-old Wes, I could see how 20-year-old Wes could think 31-year-old Wes like just it's just like, yo, who are you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's really what I think the 20-year-old me would think. Now the 31-year-old me would say to the 20, like if I could talk to my 20-year-old self right now, I would say, yo, me being in this position, I'm still Wes from the hood.
Right.
I still do like listen, love the same things. Like, bro, literally Saturday night, I went to every public housing site we got out the car, kicked it. That's still me. But at the same time, in this position, I have to make sure that I can do everything I can to help people and keep them safe, opposed to agitating to a certain extent and just yelling and wilding out and just expressing without fear of retribution. You know what I think it also is? 31-year-old Wes realizes, or what 31-year-old Wes would tell 20-year-old Wes, that whatever I say carries a whole lot of weight. And there's responsibility in what I say and what I do. So because I know there's responsibility in what I say and what I do, I can't just wild out. I have to try to make sure I can keep things safe and peaceful. That's the role I'm in, because ultimately, to a certain extent, I'm responsible for a lot of people.
Right.
So I can't just say, yo, fuck all y'all, I want to fight the police. Nah, I can't do that.
You could, but then you wouldn't be probably doing some of what you're doing.
I wouldn't be effective.
You wouldn't be in some of the spaces that you're in if that was the case. It reminds me of Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Just because just as you were talking, I was thinking about the style that he used to play with. Before the last couple years there at the Bulls, and then when he went to the Wizards, there was no question, and he had that jump. He had that jump shot where he put that leg up, and nobody could defend it, right?
Right.
He wasn't doing that shit back in the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? He still playing the game, just doing it a little bit different.
His game evolved.
And his game evolved. You know what I mean? He was still scoring. He just wasn't going in getting banged up like he was. You know what I mean? So and then we even think about today how the game itself has evolved. So you got younger players shooting half court shots during the regular game, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
right.
What's the going back to the whole idea of this younger generation? Like, they're gonna play the game different. You know what I mean? You saw like with Jesse Jackson, you saw with Stokely Carmichael, you saw with guys that didn't agree with some of the things that were happening on a national level, and then they took the reins. I think it's just a continuation, but we got to get on code together and understand, man. Like, we on the same team. Yeah. You know, we playing the same game.
But do we? So that's another thing I've been thinking about.
Okay,
like, do we all have to be on the same page per se? Because I'm starting to come to the position that we don't. When I was in Oakland, bro, a couple weeks ago, and I spent like all that time with the Panthers and just learning about how they rock. Like, yo, Huey and a few of the other Panthers, like Cleaver or whomever, they didn't rock because they, you know what I'm saying, they were in the Panthers together, but they had philosophical differences. Mm-hmm. And like, yo, man, you ain't got to be out there cursing. Like, Huey was not a fan of like people cursing during public speeches. Say like, you wasting words. You know what I'm saying? But Huey was also in the street. Other brothers was like, yo, I don't got to necessarily be in the street. Let's work on doing the, you know, the school program, the feeder program, sickle cell, so forth. Huey was like, I want to figure out how we can do all of that. But they ain't have to all agree on how they do everything at the same time. And I'm starting to believe that, like, there's room for us to have people who just want to be like, push. And then there's room for some of us who are like, all right, how do we figure out how we can use their ideas to push within the system to make the system better? Mm-hmm. And then there's others who are just like, nah, I'm just going to stay in my corner and do what I got to do. We're not a monolith.
We're not a monolith, but again, they were inside the same organization, I think in many ways working towards the same vision and mission of helping Black people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. When I started to hear a lot of other voices that are trying to attach themselves to Black struggle, then I have a challenge with that. You understand what I'm saying? Or distracting us, and we've talked about the meetings we've been in before, being distracted from the specific work of, you know, trying to help Black people and that getting watered down. You know what I mean? So like, that's, so when I say, yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm just listening.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about, like, from that angle and saying, I agree, because we all have roles to play.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we can be down for the cause and knowing that we're in different spaces having to do different things. I remember talking to my uncle in Chicago. He said, man, the biggest gangster in Chicago, man, they're in City Hall, and they got Star David necklaces around their neck underneath their 3-piece suit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here they were in government, gang affiliated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they were up there politicking, bullshit, and shaking hands. And I'm not saying that's all of what's going on with you. I'm just saying, like, it gets to a space where you're not doing street shit.
Right.
Whether that's you hustling and you want to get out the street and you want to go legit.
Right.
So you don't have to keep doing street shit. Well, there's also street shit that needs to happen, right, in this struggle. And some of it also needs to happen in other places that never, you know what I'm saying, touch the street.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
That makes complete sense.
I'm not saying that brother's any less down because the fight that he has to have in the courtroom because he's an attorney.
Yeah. We need multiple people doing different things.
They got the little homie out of jail.
Right. Who is actually more valuable than the dude, his big homie, who telling them, yo, go take this work and go hustle. You know what I'm saying? That don't make you more street. That's actually worse.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just still processing all this stuff, man.
It's a lot to process. I mean, another thing that I saw this weekend, we just watched an Instagram video a second ago about the rally in DC, and there were some protesters who were like burning stuff in the street, and it was a dude from DC, and he like, yo, man, stop feeding that fire. Like, I'm with y'all. Fuck Trump. I ain't with the Trump, but y'all up here burning stuff in the middle of the street. Like, we live here. Y'all about to go back home. We live here. Don't come here doing all that wild shit. Like, we live here. Bro, that's real to me.
So just the idea that you may have somebody that's kind of down for your cause, come to your town, stir shit up when you're saying, like, you don't even understand what we're trying to do and how we moving out here,
and they leave.
And you're gonna go home.
Yeah, and then we got to deal with this shit.
And that's what I'm talking about, getting on code. They got to understand, like, you moving into this space where there's this struggle that's happening that you're not a part of on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Now, that does also bring me to another point that kind of draws the line between people coming in from out of town for a weekend, being active and going back home. That's one thing, versus someone moving to a community, living there, investing themselves in the community, and there's still being a division because, like, oh, nigga, you ain't from here. Why you in that?
Yeah,
why you involved with that? Why you care about that? You shouldn't have nothing to say about that because you ain't from here.
Man, you know, we've had to deal with that, bro.
Huh?
No, we've had to deal with that. That's a real one. Like, the territorial shit is real.
Right.
You're not from here. Why you doing this and that? And, like, bro, to me, that shit is so corny. Because it's like, yo, as long as, if a person moves somewhere, I think you do need to do your due diligence, pay respect. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Make sure that you understanding the situation, understanding if you're trying to lead your voice to a movement or a cause or whatever and trying to help out, you do need to, you know, listen and take heed to those who know more than you, who have been on the ground, lived it, from there, so forth, right? But the question becomes, like, at what point, when you keep putting in your blood, sweat, and tears and your equity, like, when do you get the respect? Like, you don't have to be from somewhere to make a difference.
That's right.
And, like, yeah, I that one is, I definitely know that one, because I used to hear, and even to a certain extent still hear, like, yo, you ain't from here. Like, you from Atlanta, you from South Carolina, you ain't from Charlottesville. Like, who says that you get to do, you know, blah, blah, blah. I remember some of the homies who I rock with now, like, telling me that. But they was like, yo, over time, we've realized, like, yo, you dedicated. Like, yeah, you are from here. You may not have born here. You ain't go to school here, but you from here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's a tough one, man.
It's a tough one, man.
That's a tough one.
You know,
that's a tough one.
Just an encouragement to everyone out there that's doing what they do, man. Whether you from the area you in or not, man. Like, that's where you're at, and you want to make the community that you live in and where you raise your family a better place. You want to be involved. You want to see positive momentum and things like that, man. That bullshit and the distractors, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even bother with that. You know, that's some territorial stuff, man, because real talk, I've had this conversation one time, actually more than one time, but one I'm thinking about in particular, and dude was like, you ain't from here, blah, 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 blah. I said, bruh, you been here 40 years. Why are you mad at me for what I've done in 5? You know what I'm saying? Real. Like, I mean, am I messing up your winning situation right now? You know, because I didn't come to do that, but obviously I'm really not, though, nigga. So come on, you know what I mean? Like, So yeah, man.
Yo, that's real. Before we get out of here, bro, I gotta give a quick shout out to Reverend Al Sharpton. Yo, shout out to Reverend Al. He came to the city today. He gave a sermon. He preached today at Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. And I know he and I have been talking throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, I want to make sure I talk to some kids. Yo, you get your kids from week code 2. You know, pull up on them. Make sure, you know, I want to be able to just say, spend some time with him. He had to get to D.C., but he did a solid and was like, yo, make sure you take all these kids to lunch on me. And I respect that.
That's what's up.
So appreciate you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people can say, you know, this about him and that about him or whatever. But homie came through. He spent a little bit of time with the kids, but he made sure that they all got a meal on him. Much respect.
Word up.
Now, next up, go ahead, my bad.
No, I was just going to say, man, you know, peace and love to everybody in Charlottesville, man, that, you know, went through this weekend, that struggled through last year, man. I know people have moved away from Charlottesville, you know what I mean? And we just want to, you know what I'm saying, just show our respect and love to everybody out there, man, that's standing for the right thing, that's standing for truth, that's standing for justice and equity and equality. You know what I mean? Like, keep doing that shit. Like, when the news cameras go away,
we still here.
You know what I'm saying? When you no longer are known as being this or being that, you know what I'm saying? Like, when nobody's watching, are you doing the work, man? I hope so. And even when and when you're doing the work and no one's watching, man, keep grinding, man. You get your payday, man. You'll see something happen.
That's much love, man. Yo, shout out to Seville. Yo, we took a punch in the face last year, but we ain't lose the fight. We might have lost a little round for one day, but this a marathon. This ain't no sprint. And it's a 12-round fight, yo. We good. We gonna win this joint. We moving forward. Much love to all the freedom fighters, all the survivors out there grinding. Rest in power to everybody that sacrificed their time, their talents, their treasures for us to be to where we are right now. And yo, let's keep it going. All right, 1 year anniversary. But we got Monday, Tuesday, next month, next year. All opportunities to continue to make this place better. So let's relish in that.
Keep grinding.
Keep grinding. Until next time, peace and love. Peaceful Rage podcast. I almost forgot the old shit.
Perfect way to go. We'll holla at y'all.
So yo, as always, man, we want to thank the listeners. Appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Absolutely, man.
Shout out to our sponsors.
Life View Marketing, Ty Cooper.
Shout out to our producer, The Ear. Yo, what up, man? At Damani for prayers, hit him up. And also, if you want to be able to sponsor with us, or you want to come through on the show, look out for us. Hit us up on Gmail at peacefulragepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on social media at Peaceful Rage Podcast on all social media websites. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.